Very good afternoon. You're watching the midday news on Rajya Sabha television. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor. Here are the headlines. New India will only develop when the Northeast develops, asserts Prime Minister Modi as he lays foundation of projects worth 4,000 crore rupees in Arunachal Pradesh. PM Modi's whirlwind Northeast visit also includes Assam and Tripura for the inauguration of several development projects. Development along with the welfare of people should be the goal, says Vice President Naidu, emphasizes on achieving a balanced development across all regions and states. Robert Vadra appears before Enforcement Directorate for the third time in 4 days, questioned again in the money laundering case relating to the purchase of properties in London. And Kolkata Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar being quizzed by the CBI in Shillong for his alleged role in destroying evidence related to the Charada chit fund scam. Supreme Court had fixed Meghalaya capital as the venue for his interrogation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today inaugurated several development projects and laid the foundation stone of many vital schemes worth over 4,000 crore rupees for Arunachal Pradesh at a function in Itanagar. PM Modi laid the foundation stone for the construction of a greenfield airport at Holongi and inaugurated airport at Tezu in Lohit district through a remote. Addressing people, the Prime Minister said that New India will only develop when the Northeast develops. He inaugurated the new Doordarshan channel for Arunachal Pradesh, namely DD Arun Prabha. The PM also dedicated to the nation the 110 megawatt pace hydroelectric plant and laid the foundation stone for a permanent campus of a Film and Television Institute of India at Jodh. He also inaugurated 50 health and wellness centers in the state, also through remote at a function.
न्यू इंडिया तभी अपनी पूरी शक्ति से विकसित हो पाएगा जब पूर्वी भारत नॉर्थ ईस्ट का तेज गति से विकास होगा। ये विकास संसाधनों का भी है और संस्कृति के गौरव का भी है। ये विकास अलग अलग क्षेत्रों को जोड़ने का भी है और जन जन को भी जोड़ने का है। भाइयों और बहनों, सबका साथ सबका विकास इस मंत्र पर चलते हुए बीते 55 महीनों में अरुणाचल और उत्तर पूर्व के विकास के लिए ना तो कभी फंड की कमी आने दी गई और न ही इच्छा शक्ति की कमी आई है।
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Assam's Guwahati today to lay the foundation stone of North-East gas grid. Now, this grid is part of the government's plan to provide cheap and quality gas to the entire North-East region. The PM is slated to inaugurate a Holong modular gas processing plant in Tinsukia and LPG capacity augmentation of a mounted storage vessel in North Guwahati. He will lay the foundation stone of RNL biorefinery at Numaligarh and also a 6-lane bridge over the Brahmaputra connecting Guwahati and North Guwahati. Later, the Prime Minister will address a public rally as well. And on the last leg of his visit, the Prime Minister will dedicate to the country the Gargi-Belonia railway line in Tripura today. The railway line will boost Tripura as the gateway to the South and the Southeast Asia. He will also inaugurate the new complex of Tripura Institute of Technology. The Prime Minister will also unveil the statue of Bir Bikram Kishore Manakia Bahadur at Maharaja Bir Bikram Airport at Agartala. Robert Vadra today appeared before the Enforcement Directorate for the third time in 4 days in connection with a money laundering case. Vadra arrived at the ED office this morning. He was required to appear before the Central Probe Agency to answer more questions in connection with the money laundering case. Vadra was questioned by the ED on Thursday for over 9 hours, and he was earlier questioned for around 6 hours for the first time in the case on Wednesday. The ED case against Robert Vadra relates to the allegations of money laundering in the purchase of a London-based property worth 1.9 million British pounds, which is allegedly owned by him. Earlier this month, a Delhi court had directed Robert Vadra to cooperate with the investigation being carried out by the ED after he filed an anticipatory bail plea in the case. Robert Vadra has denied the allegations of possessing illegal foreign assets and has termed them a political witch hunt. And Kolkata Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar reached the CBI office in Shillong today for questioning in connection with the central agency's ongoing probe into the chit fund cases. Kumar arrived in Shillong for questioning as per the Supreme Court orders. And remember, earlier on Tuesday, the Supreme Court had directed the Kolkata Police Commissioner to appear before the CBI and faithfully cooperate with the probe into cases related to the Sharada chit fund scam. The CBI has alleged in the Supreme Court that Rajiv Kumar, who led the probe by the Special Investigation Team into the Sharada chit fund scam, had tampered with the evidence and had handed over the documents to the agency, some of which had been doctored. A major controversy had earlier broken out on Sunday when a team of CBI officers went to Kumar's residence to question him, but faced a stiff resistance from the Kolkata police. And following this, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee staged a 3-day protest. News from Rajasthan now, where members of the Gujar community continued to block railway tracks on the second day of their agitation today. Gujar leader Kirori Singh Bensla started the dharna yesterday along with his supporters on the railway tracks in Rajasthan's Savai Madhopur district, demanding reservation for 5 communities, including Gujars. The agitating Gujars sat on the railway tracks at the Malanda Dunagar area near Savai Madhopur, leading to the cancellation of 15 trains and rerouting of 21 other trains. The blocked railway line in the West Central Railway connects Delhi to Mumbai. The Delhi-Jaipur-Agra line, however, remains clear. And earlier on Friday, Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot had appealed to the people to maintain peace. He had said that the government was ready to hold talks. Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Friday termed as incomplete and distorted the news item published by a newspaper about parallel negotiations by the PMO in the Rafale fighter jet deal. In an exclusive interview to ANI, Nirmala Sitharaman said that doubts were being deliberately created in the minds of people because of some corporate warfare.
No, this is all that probably that journal or that newspaper had, and therefore they published it. Is it not the responsibility of a journalist to search for the next before publishing? Or at least say, we tried getting the answer from the ministry, they did not respond, and therefore we are only publishing this much. They have published half-truth, almost as though with an intention, and this is my suspicion, I'm not throwing it without reason, but I have a reason to say this. My suspicion is they wanted to create just this, doubt in the mind of the reader, and therefore I'll only put this much, but I'll not put the reply. Even if I don't have it, I've not even made an attempt to get it. So to me, it looks very clearly an attempt again by people. I do not know whether they are doing it for themselves or they are doing it in response to some kind of a corporate warfare which is going on in this matter.
She also asserted that it is the duty of the Prime Minister to monitor progress in any deal or project, and if the PMO checks on these, it cannot be termed as interference.
The PMO, not just under Sri Narendra Modi, but PMO and I'm sure any other PM as well, will certainly monitor the progress of activities, not just purchases under defense, but many other, even under Ayushman Bharat or Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan or anything of that kind. To consider, and this I very clearly said even in my January 4th reply in the Lok Sabha for the Rafale debate. I'd said even then that there are talk among the opposition and some of them raising the question saying questions are being asked about Prime Minister's office interfering in the process. Even at that time I said very clearly, if the Prime Minister's office pursues a matter saying what is the progress, how far is it happening, is it happening here, is it happening in France, are you all moving forward, that cannot be construed as an interference at all.
She then went on to attack the Congress party, questioning the role of the National Advisory Council headed by UPA chairperson Sonia Gandhi when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister.
If the legitimate authority, the first among equals, in a cabinet the Prime Minister is the first among equal, and collective responsibility prevails, if the PMO checks on a ministry, that I shall not construe as interference. It's more that all of us are equally responsible, we have to move forward. Then, if this is seen as interference, I want to ask the Congress party, what was the NAC? National Advisory Council under Srimati Sonia Gandhi, it didn't even have a statutory authority. It was not a constitutional body. It was not part of the PMO in the sense of it had the authority to ask questions. It was remote controlling the PMO. Was that interference? Can the Congress party please answer that?
And in the Lok Sabha on Friday, Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman dismissed the media report on the Rafale jet deal as flogging a dead horse. She also accused the opposition of playing into the hands of multinational companies and vested interests. Meanwhile, the opposition has demanded a JPC probe into the deal.
In her address in the Lok Sabha, Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman dismissed the report published in the Hindu newspaper on the Rafale deal. She said it is like flogging a dead horse, saying that things have already been clarified on the issue. Targeting the opposition, the Defence Minister said it was playing into the hands of multinational companies and has vested interests. She also accused the opposition of not wanting to strengthen the army.
Gave a reply even on the 4th January about it, that when periodically PMO inquires about the progress of any work, that cannot be construed as interference. And I would like to remind you, madam, through you, I would like to remind the entire House, they are working to the tunes of multinational corporate warfare. They are damaging this country. I charge them with that offense. Thank you, madam.
Earlier, the Trinamool Congress and the Congress raised the issue in the House and demanded a JPC probe into the case.
Why should the Prime Minister's office interfere about the price? It diminishes, it undermines the negotiating capacity of the defense negotiating team.
Outside Lok Sabha at a press conference, Congress President Rahul Gandhi accused the Prime Minister's office of directly interfering in the Rafale deal, citing the media reports.
Now it is crystal clear. In the Hindu newspaper, it is black and white. It is absolutely black and white that the Prime Minister himself was carrying out a parallel negotiation with the French. We have been saying that there should be a JPC, there should be an inquiry. Now it is crystal clear.
The government also raised questions on the newspaper for not publishing the reply on the dissatisfaction note of then Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar, along with the Defence Ministry's noting. News agency ANI has disclosed the noting in which then Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar had replied. In the note, the Defence Secretary was advised to consult Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister and resolve the issue. Former Defence Secretary G. Mohan Kumar has said that the Defence Ministry did not raise any objection to Rafale's price. Meanwhile, Air Marshal SPP Sinha, who was heading the negotiating team in the Rafale deal, has said that the Prime Minister's office never interfered in the deal.
इस नेगोशिएशंस में किसी तरह का किसी से या पीएमओ से कोई इंटरफेरेंस नहीं था। हमारी नेगोशिएशन टीम ने जो भी हुआ है और जो भी हमने किया है, हम सब ने अपने मिलकर अपनी मर्जी से किया कि इस डील में भारत को जो भी चाहिए था वो मिला। जो रफेल हम पहले खरीद रहे थे उससे इससे अच्छे वेपन्स मिले हैं हमें, उससे अच्छे मेंटेनेंस मिले, उससे अच्छी ट्रेनिंग मिली है, उससे ज़्यादा एक्सटेंडेड वारंटी मिली है और बहुत अच्छा मेंटेनेंस पैकेज मिला। और सबसे ज़रूरी जो मल्टी वेंडर प्रोक्योरमेंट में जो L1 था, उससे भी कम कीमत में हमने ये जहाज खरीदा है।
A letter from then Prime Minister of France Manuel Valls has also surfaced, in which he had written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and offered full support to the deal. The Supreme Court has already given a clean chit to the government on the Rafale deal, but the opposition has been raking this matter for long. With inputs from Ravindra Singh Sharan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
We'll slip into a very short break here. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned. In this edition, we'll take a closer look at the new regulatory framework for broadcasting and cable services implemented by TRAI.
130 rupees is the carriage price for carrying any 100 channel. It could be a pay channel, it could be free-to-air channel, and therefore you can have the combination of free-to-air channel, pay channel, and therefore and also 25 DD mandatory channel. So this whole scheme is empowerment to the consumer.
The experience of the common customer is that when he is picking up all those channels which he was interested in and the free-to-air channel which we call FTA, his cost at the moment per month is coming out higher.
These operators are putting high-end channels on the first, and that is why the cost of the entire suggested pack is going to be higher than what I used to pay.
The prices would be hiked by around 200 rupees.
Multi-home TV. So we are working, in case it is not workable by the respective DTH operator and MSO operator, then we will do something on that.
Nestled in the thick woods of Delhi's northern ridge near Malsha Marg, once existed the palace of Rani Vilayat Mahal, the claimant royal belonging to the erstwhile kingdom of Awadh. 4 decades back, Vilayat Mahal came to Delhi after being ousted from the royalty. She came here with 2 children, Ali Raza and Sakina, some guards, her greyhound dogs, gems and jewellery, carpets, collection of books and private correspondence, as per the information goes. She began living at the fences of New Delhi railway station near State Entry Road in protest seeking rehabilitation. After she wrote to then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, Vilayat Mahal was given to stay in a hunting lodge in the middle of the canvassing ridge. The claimant princess passed away in 1993, leaving her 2 children, Sakina and Ali Raza, in solitude and cut off from the outside world. Few years ago, Sakina too passed away. After demise of his mother and sister, Prince Ali Raza continued to live here without electricity, water, phone line, in his hunting lodge, his fortress. Afraid of the modern world, unwelcoming to the suspicious movers and withdrawn, Ali Raza died on September 2, 2017, with many thoughts and unrestrained melancholy for today's world, which he saw from a rather close distance.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Jai Ram Thakur has presented the state's annual budget for the financial year 2019-20. And while presenting the budget, the Chief Minister said that Himachal Pradesh will implement the 10% quota for economically weaker sections of the general category. He also added that the state government will provide 11,000 rupees as a Varshik Loktatra Prahari Samman to those who had been arrested under the MISA Act. The Himachal government will also reduce power tariff from 75 paise per unit to 50 paise for irrigation purposes. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu has asserted that development and welfare must go together to achieve a broad-based economic growth that ensures balanced development across all regions and sectors. Addressing the International Conference for the Development Discourse in Hyderabad today, Vice President Naidu said that one must be sensitive and accommodative to the needs of the poorest of the poor, asserting that inclusive economic growth must be central to our developmental model. He said this while speaking at the event. He said that making people living in rural areas an integral part in the developmental process should be the target behind policy planning. The Vice President said that removing inequalities and opportunities should be the first step in creating an environment of equal opportunities.
Any development should be people-centric and nature-centric. Not only people-centric, but should also be nature-centric. While development broadly encompasses improving incomes and living conditions, the focus should be on achieving the sustainable development goals the world has set for itself in 2015. For a developing nation like India, the need of the hour is to sustain momentum of economic growth and dovetail its efforts for increasing prosperity and well-being of the people.
President Ramnath Kovind has said that the PILs have redefined the justice delivery system by becoming the voice of the poor. But he said that the challenges remained as a vested interest exploited PILs to obstruct the legitimate decision-making. Speaking at the release of a book, Law, Justice and Judicial Power, Justice P.N. Bhagwati's Approach, which was formally released by Chief Justice of India, Justice Ranjan Gogoi, President Kovind said that there are occasions when public interest litigation professionals may misuse the provisions for their vested interests or to obstruct legitimate decision-making. But the President noted that the judiciary is guarding against such attempts. He even called for the need to address new challenges in the social and economic justice sphere.
The PIL tradition is an Indian contribution to the practice of law and the process of justice delivery. This has been admired by other democracies and other legal systems as well. Yes, there are occasions when PIL professionals may misuse such provisions for their own vested ends or to obstruct legitimate decision-making. I am happy that the judiciary is guarding against such attempts.
41 people are reported to have died after consuming spurious liquor in adjoining districts of Saharanpur and Haridwar in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. The incident was first reported on Friday after most of the victims consumed the liquor on Thursday evening at the 13th day of a mourning ceremony of a relative in Balupur village in Haridwar. According to the police, 16 people died in the village and 18 more deaths were reported from Saharanpur district as the people who had attended the ritual returned home. Uttarakhand government has suspended 17 administration and police personnel and has ordered a magisterial probe. In Uttar Pradesh, 10 policemen have been suspended. A life-size portrait of former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee will be installed in the Central Hall of Parliament on 12th of February. The portrait will be unveiled by President Ramnath Kovind in the presence of Vice President Venkaiah Naidu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, ministers and leaders of various political parties. Born on 25th of December 1924 in Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh, the BJP veteran passed away on 16th of August last year after a prolonged illness. And the Trump administration has announced that it will launch 2 projects in India for women's economic empowerment. The project, in partnership with the private sector, is part of the US's initiative to empower 50 million women globally to tap their economic potential. The initiative will be led by Ivanka Trump, the senior advisor and daughter to President Donald Trump. President Trump had signed a memorandum to launch the Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative, and one of these programs in India will be launched in West Bengal. Sports news now. The Indian pair of Rohan Bopanna and David Sharan has entered the doubles semi-finals of the Sofia Open in Bulgaria. The duo defeated Alexander Donsky and Alexander Lazarov of Bulgaria 6-3, 6-1 in the quarterfinals. In the semi-finals today, the Indian pair will face a Taiwan-Indonesian pair of Cheng Peng and Christopher. And that's it in this edition of Midday News. Thanks for watching. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV.